Hi, namaste. Good to see everybody. I'll let a few people come on. I have a topic. Of course, we'll always do some readings. Um, see where everyone is. What's going on? It is the summer. We just passed summer solstice, so of course, it's warm and people are taking vacations and doing things differently, and we are, looking at, of course, making changes in our lives, of course, and healing our souls and healing from the loss of loved ones. But let us know where you're from. And we have Keith on here. And oh, there's Miss Valerie, which has a birthday, I think, tomorrow. So happy birthday, Valerie. Premature. I hope you're being spoiled this whole week. Um, but let us know where you're calling from or showing up. And there's Miss Dana. I'm a little bit kind of out of my element here. I was like ready, but not obviously ready. There's Dana. Dana is my wife. She takes care of all these kind of things behind the scenes. This would not have a Facebook Live or anything if she wasn't there trying to orchestrate, make sure it's all running smoothly, right?
I am so happy to do it. But yeah, we'll just give a few minutes for people to join since you started
Mm-hmm.
11:11, and um, you will be doing readings in a little while as well. Do a few readings for people who are joining. So
Oh,
we'll,
Miss Kim Gerard. I haven't seen Kim for a while. Hi, Kim. Kim is a prior student. Big hearts out to you. Someone from Michigan. We're going to talk about surrender and trust today. I was getting this hit around it as I was thinking about Facebook Live and also things in my own life, but it's always something important to remember. So even though I've been teaching these things for years and years and years, it's always a new layer that comes with how do we move forward in our life when we get these challenges, when things are showing up in our life and we're thinking, I thought I dealt with this, I thought I healed from this, I didn't think it was coming back. So how do we learn, how do we surrender, how do we move forward? Big one for me, especially recently. So look at all the people joining us. Woo, woo. So thank you, everyone. And we are some people here from Colorado. We have people, someone's acknowledging Pride Month. I can read some of these. That is so amazing. I'm so glad I can read them. Sometimes I can't, the print. Having to surrender to wearing glasses, right? So today, what things I was thinking about today was talking about surrender. And surrender is an interesting concept for so many of us. Surrender means for some people, oh, I'm losing control, or I have to let go, or that means I don't get to have my power, these kind of things. And surrender to me is about really trusting the process. And how I began doing this work is I had no idea ever in my radar that I was a medium or an intuitive, a teacher. Any of this was in my wheelhouse. And through a process of events, I learned about something called feng shui. Well, anyone that knows me knows that I just love feng shui. I've been studying it for over 25 years. But when I started learning feng shui, which is the art of placement, it's about energy, how energy works. When I stepped into it, I really thought it was about helping my partner at the time find his career, get back into, what he did really well, what supported our family financially. And through that process, I realized that I was in a medium. I didn't even know what that meant. I didn't even know what a medium was. Really, it was just sort of like, okay, I think John Edward was, having a show out there. So it was coming out of the closet, so to speak. And I still had no idea. And I started reading books, and we didn't have the internet like today. So, I went to the library and just started reading upon it. And through that process, um, things changed. I started to realize that I was a medium and intuitive, and all the sensitivity came up. So I had to surrender my idea of what my life was supposed to look like. I had to surrender and trust that this process of opening up these abilities was going to change my life, and I had no idea where it was going to go. And that surrendering is that you're going to be led. You're going to be put into places that's going to help you emerge for what you came to learn, what you came to do on this earth plane. And it was about a year or so into understanding the ability of being a medium that I got on the radio. And some of you know me from Cozy 101, that was a lifetime ago. And from that, other times I got on the radio and other things like that. And of course, now we can do things through the internet, Facebook Lives, things like that that can help us to connect with our community in the world. But 25, 26 years ago, this was never, ever in my thought process. So many times we want to control an outcome. We believe that if I do this job, or if I marry this person, or if I get this opportunity, it's going to change my life. Control limits the ability for the universe to step in and take us on a path that we never imagined. And when I look back, I can tell that I was being led in this direction, but it was never put in front of me like, oh, this is where you're going to go. So trusting the process is also a big aha. When I first time I got on the radio, never been on the radio, didn't have a practice, didn't kind of still know if I could do this or not. And so Rashki was the DJ that took a leap of faith and brought me on her show and kind of, put me in the seat and said, okay, here you go. And I did 52 readings on and off the air, 5-hour time slot. And she said to me, you can either step into it and, lean into it and change your life or not. And I did. I completely transformed my life without even having any business ideas of how I was going to do this or how it was going to show up in my life. And I can look back and realize that all of it's been about trusting my guides, surrendering to the process of connecting with my guides. So many of us want to know, what do my guides want me to do? What do I want to, where do I go? What am I supposed to be doing? And so trusting your guides and trusting that process sometimes is taking a leap of faith. And that's the surrendering of wanting to control how it looks. And our ego plays into that. Our ego wants to control how we are perceived, or our fears from our past. We collect all these fears that say, well, what are people going to think? What if it doesn't work out? What if I'm supposed to be doing something different? All those things that brings up all of our fears. Surrender means that you're trusting the direction your guides are putting you. In my mentoring program, Solution, when I give people homework, I always say, this is the homework assignment, and they will alter that homework assignment and do something different. And that's not trusting the process. It's surrendering to the experience. And so many times we want to control, we want it to be a certain outcome. We feel that we want to experience something the way we want versus be surprised. Maybe the ultimate surprise is going to take you in a direction you never imagined. And for me, I never imagined in a million years this would be my experience in life. And from doing this for this many years, I still have to learn how to surrender and trust the process. So when things are showing up that are challenging, what I tell students, it's not happening to you, it's happening for you. When it's happening for you, it's looking at your perspective so differently to say, you know what, this is challenging me. Instead of me pushing back or trying to control it, can I surrender to what direction I'm going? So if you've had a significant loss, say you've had a loss of a job or a relationship or a loved one who has passed or your health, any of those losses, can you look at it as an experience for expansion? So instead of going into, oh, woe is me, I'm the victim, go into it, what is this going to do to my life? How can I expand my experiences? How can I expand my mind? What books can I read? What people can I contact? Who can I reach out to that maybe will have some ideas of how this opportunity is going to change my life? We can hold on to the past. We can hold on to the fear of it's got to look a certain way. We've got to feel safe in a certain way. Never again did I imagine that this would be the way I would help other people, that this would be my livelihood, that I would be on a Facebook Live, that I would be in front of other people. Never. And I can't imagine going back to my old life, even though I believed without a doubt that was what I was supposed to do. That was my safety. That was what I thought would create a happy life. And even though with this new life, there's still challenges, there's still experiences that are teaching me along the way. But our trusting that process and having the ability to surrender means I'm going to lean into this and see where it takes me. Think about going down a river. If you try to control a river, good luck with that, right? It's about having the experience, going with the flow. Can you look around and see things that you wouldn't have seen otherwise? If you think about the opposite of surrender, that is control, how often have you been able to control other people or control a situation for an outcome that you believe is right? Or we want other people to behave a particular way, or we want people to experience things the way you believe is right. that limits our ability to understand the universe, to be able to understand what we are capable of doing. If you look at any scientist or anyone that loves to do research, if you thought about they limited the possibilities, where would our world be? People that say, you know what, there's got to be more. Let's have another experience. Let's go beyond where we are today. Surrendering isn't giving up. Surrendering is expanding your awareness, expanding your consciousness. Surrender is trusting that there is so much things that are bigger and better out there than what you have and what you think is beyond what the universe can provide. Surrender says, I believe that there is more. I believe that I get to do more and I get to expand my world and open up my mind. So if you're in a place right now, or you have been in this place where you're really sad about what's happening, look at it as an opportunity to expand your awareness, expand your consciousness, to be able to connect with other people or connect with your guides or loved ones or something with that expansion. Control, which again is the opposite of surrender, doesn't allow you to hear your guides, doesn't allow you to connect with your loved ones. It doesn't allow you to see what you're capable of in this lifetime, because control is all about fear. It's all about the ego. So surrendering is allowing. It is loving yourself and believing that you have within you the tools and insights to take the steps to move forward in your life, to trust there's so much more for you. And that is really difficult to do. So, with that said, take opportunities to surrender. You know, when you go into your mind that you want to plan it, you want to organize it, you want to have control, take some deep breaths, walk away, come back and go, I'm going to go and listen to a different experience. I'm going to maybe expand my awareness, because that's what opens up your connection to the universe. And everyone that usually is on my Facebook Live wants to connect with a loved one or their guides, or they want to know some information because they're in a place of fear. So open yourself up to trust and surrender. So if there's some questions regarding what I just talked about, I would love to answer all of those. Like, how do I do that? How do I expand? How do I learn to surrender and trust? If there's some things about a reading, we'll certainly get to that, because I'd love to give a few readings. But I see a lot of things people are kind of texting in here. So Dana can read them. And
Sure. You want me to read a couple questions?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, we have Erica. How do you know when to surrender? At what point do you leave it up to the universe, or when do you keep going or keep pushing?
My head around this, and good question. My head around this, first of all, is we're taught early on, you know, you got to step into your power. You got to do it. You just can't be lazy. You got to, those kind of things. Sometimes it's just opening up to reading a different book, listening to different music, talking to different people, watching something on TV or a show that is not your normal, to be able to get messages that are beyond what you've been getting. When we're influenced by what we just experienced, our little bubble, that little bubble does not allow us to open ourselves up. So finding something that opens up your mind, it could be going to a different restaurant, reading a different book, going to a different kind of, if you go to a park, go to a different park, watch people, kind of expand. The guides want you to know that you can have another outcome. It's just listening, but that means putting yourself in a different environment so you can hear a different message. If you're in fear and that stomach is hurting, you're getting the headaches, you're not sleeping at night, that's control. And surrender doesn't mean that you don't do anything, you don't take action, but try to take action that's different than what you're doing. Don't repeat the same pattern.
Couple more questions. Let's see here. Lori down in Tennessee, your student,
Hey.
She said she pulled the surrender card yesterday. So that's a lot.
Yay. Yeah, Lori, we're aligned. And it's really hard to surrender, because we think that we're the thought process is, oh, I guess I don't care. No, the surrender means I'm allowing.
Mm-hmm.
Control means I'm not allowing anything in except this. If you've ever talked to someone about religion or politics or a movie or anything that you have different sides, there's no allowing to hear somebody else. You only want to get your point across, which means you're not letting your guides in. So it's being open to other thought processes. That's a surrender. Is there another way to solve this problem?
Right. Let's see here. Anita is asking, how do you know the difference between surrender/spirit versus control and ego?
Control and ego is all fear. It is a sense of I've had these things happen in the past. I don't want them to happen again. So that's control and ego. Ego is like, I'm not doing this again. I tried to trust them before and I'm not letting them happen, this happening again. That is ego. Control goes, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm not really sure, but I'm going to pay attention and be aware that there is another direction. One of the things this is really simplistic, but Dan and I have gone through this. If you use your GPS, which most of us do, even if you've been to a place multiple times, we will argue with GPS. It will say, you need to go this way. We're like, but we like going this way because that we know is shorter. Well, we've learned to follow GPS because when we do it our way, there's usually an accident, there is a detour or whatever. So it's being open to hearing and trying something different. And your ego, it's all fear, 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 fear. The surrender doesn't mean when you first start learning to work with your guides, they're not going to have you leave your partner, move across the country, quit your job. They're going to build that trust so that you trust what you're getting. It's not all of a sudden, run for the hills.
Yeah. Robin's asking, how do I know that letting my toxic sister go is the best thing? So I guess that would be a question about trusting her gut, right?
Yeah, I think too is what I'm getting with this is that she feels like she needs a lot of help. And so she asks you for help, but then she doesn't take your advice. So a lot of times when they're toxic is because it's not that you're letting her go. You're just not letting her in your energy field, which means that you can still care for her. If she really needs something, you decide, but putting those boundaries up that she can be exhausting. And so it's trusting that you love her and letting her know that you love her, but it doesn't mean that you have to rescue her or take on everything that she is bringing to the table, because when they're the victim brings in a toxic kind of energy. And so they don't want to empower themselves. They just want everyone to feel their pain. And you're saying, what I'm hearing, you don't want to feel it. So that's okay to say it. That's not something I want in my world. So you put the boundaries. Doesn't mean you can't love her and care about her, but just really clear.
Yeah. How about one more? Crystal saying, how is surrender accomplished through anger and mourning/sadness?
Yeah, so grief. So, when you've had a loss of grief where someone maybe suicided or someone was murdered or a loss of a relationship that you felt was healthy or okay. So the surrendering doesn't mean you surrender your grief. You working on your grief and working on how to heal. The surrendering means at some point you're going to be capable of going, there's nothing I could do. This is, what happened, and finding ways to heal it, which might mean helping other people. So being involved in a charity, maybe, helping out, rescuing animals, whatever it is that you can help with the healing of other people, to know how much anger it takes and what it does to your body physically, mentally, and spiritually. That does it serve you to be so angry? Now, grief can have episodes of the anger, but you don't want it to be where it controls your life, because your happiness and that connection can be really toxic to you. And the biggest part of this is by learning to surrender and heal your grief, you can then have a connection to your loved ones if you want to hear from them, or connection to your guides. So it clears basically the channel. Anger blocks it. It puts the kink. The kink doesn't allow you to have that connection. So if that's the reward at the end, is healing the grief and the anger, and it's okay to be upset. It's okay to be angry. But the surrendering is, I really want to be able to heal this and maybe help other people or help my family or help my community. So depending on how long do you want to carry the anger? And that to me is, if you keep carrying the anger, you're the victim of this versus being the empowered person to help yourself and whatever circumstances that you went through.
Yeah. Just thinking, do you want to start doing some readings? Or
yeah, all of these, I feel like people are talking about sort of what's going on in their life. I think surrender is a hard word because people think surrendering means they don't care or they're giving up. And that is not what surrender means. Surrendering means I'm tuning into my gut. I am tuning into my heart. I'm tuning in to align myself to follow the direction of the universe. So if you think about, the seasons, and if we're here in Colorado, we got all 4 seasons. If the trees decided not to surrender the leaves, then when we have the major snowfalls or bad winters, it's going to kill the tree. It's going to break all these branches and take down the tree. So the surrendering is releasing what no longer serves us. It's releasing the anger. It's releasing things that don't help us align. And when you want to be aligned, when you want to be so connected to the universe and the people in this world that you really love, that means not carrying all the control and the anger and the frustration, because those are human experiences. That's part of the ego. It's okay to have those emotions, but how long do you have those emotions? And think about someone you meet and you're like, that's been a friend for a long time, and you're thinking, for 5 years, you've been angry. That's how our body gets cancer. That's how our body, the law of attraction. This is how we end up getting more hit. We keep getting knocked down because we're not allowing ourselves to trust the process of these things. And I do not believe everything happens for a reason. Absolutely not. What I do believe, if things happen, how do we then align? How do we surrender to the messages of what happened to us, and how to, or for us, what happened for us, and what do we do with that? So for me, becoming a medium, my husband lost his job. We were unable to, pay our bills and kind of figure things out. Along the lines, I was told about feng shui, and that's where I went, okay, surrender. This is something I can do. And that's where it led me into knowing that I was a medium. So surrendering means, what else can I do to find an answer versus trying to control that I want this to happen. I want it this way. And everything's going to change. Your life is always going to be continuing changing. That's the one thing we all know. So hopefully that's really helpful for some people today. I even saw someone say that they needed to hear this today. And I always love that when people say, I needed to hear this today.
Yeah, a few people have said that. So your guides are good.
It's constant. I know that I have to surrender, like doing this work, it's total surrender and trust. But as my own personal life experiences, it's still an ongoing journey of, got to figure out why this is happening. This is a message for me. It's a lesson for me. How do I embrace it versus try to control and change everybody else?
Yeah. Everyone's saying this resonates very much. So do you want to talk a little bit about, there's probably a lot of new people on. Do you want to talk a little bit about how you get messages?
So if you are wanting to talk to a loved one, I use all my senses: hear, see, taste, smell. It's a language that I built over the years that is like a shorthand. And so since they have no body, they use these images that I've learned to be able to communicate. Now on this venue, not when you have a private session, but when you're on this, I just want to know who you want to hear from and how are they connected. And if it's a child or anyone in that generation, their age, it just helps me do it quicker. I hear people going, can you just do it? Well, I want to get as many people as possible, but in a private session, I do not ask for that information. If it's something personal, a relationship, a job, your health, you just give me kind of the question and I can tune in and tell you, hopefully, the answers that you need. And I think the biggest thing is, for when we do this, it's letting you know that your loved ones are with you. So if you're in that place of grief and you're in that place of just that heart heavy sadness, to open yourself up to be able to see the messages from your loved one. And when I read for one person, just know that several people here are going to be hearing the same message. What I did get earlier, if someone was murdered, to post that on here too, because I felt earlier that someone was murdered. I didn't tell you that, Dana. So if you see that, bring that person up.
Okay. All right. And we randomly pick the readings from what you guys are typing in. And like Deb said, she needs the first name of your loved one and their relationship to you. And if it's a child's generation, she would like their age. And she does connect with animals as well. So I know there's a few people typing in animals as well.
Where you're picking, Sherry here says, how do you know if they're with you? I think people get really fixated on, they want to hear from that one person. You just have to be really present. I think we're such a distracted society. We're on our phones. We're on, we're we're drive through society. And part of it is just being aware to your energy and what's around you. And they want you to know that they're around, but they're not going to yell and scream. It would probably scare the bejeebies out of all of us. So it is really being present. And that's hard for most of us.
So there is one person who typed in that her name is Chelsea. Her niece was killed. Her name was Skylar, and she was 17.
Okay. What did you say again? Read it again. Is it still there?
Yep. Her niece
Your niece
was possibly murdered. Her name was Skylar. She
Okay.
was 17.
I keep feeling like my head an impact to the back of my body. So I'm not sure if this was whether it was an impact by an item or whether there was a shot or something like this. And I feel like there were more than one other person there. So I don't feel like this situation was an accident. But if it was an accident, I feel like they tried to hide the situation. So there may have been something illegal being done or something that was like a cover up.
She said it was in Aurora, Colorado here, and she was shot in the head.
Good. Okay. So she's coming through with big, beautiful smile. I'm so sorry. And I'm getting here. I don't think it was intentional for them to murder her. I feel like she was in the line of fire. So whether this was someone shooting more than one person or whether this was someone shooting or, doing a gun and she happened to be in the line of fire. But she is okay. She's there with an older man. This may be your father or a older father figure. And I'm getting two dogs. One is a larger dark dog, and then a smaller one that kind of reminds me of Piper, a little
Yorkie?
Yorkie, but it's that size. So she's there with two dogs, big smile, and she's telling me that there's something about the investigation. There's a problem with the investigation or something that people were not happy with the investigation. So let us know if that makes any sense for you.
Yeah. Please share validations when you're getting a reading and try to type in quickly the validations because that'll make sure Deb's on the right track with connecting. It's like a party in your head, you say. There's people on. So
even when I start, and that's why sometimes when I get going talking, I've got all this chatter going on. I'm like, oh, I've got to speak out loud. So I'm like trying to get my senses working before we get going.
Alicia Miles says her daughter Olivia was 6 when she passed.
My stomach is hurting with Olivia, and I'm so sorry. Anyone that loses a child, including Skylar, my heart goes out to you. I'm going to recommend an organization called Helping Parents Heal, and it's a nonprofit. It's an organization that helps parents healing the loss of a child or grandchild or niece or nephew, whatever. But they vet mediums, and I'm one of them that have been vetted. My stomach really hurts with Olivia. So there's something about an impact to my stomach, or she was sick beforehand. Just this really big, bright-eyed, beautiful child. I just get her eyes and her soul were just so impactful. She is telling me that she's always with you. And I don't know if you wear a piece of jewelry in memory of her or something that you carry that's of hers. And she's also saying, which I get often, is you have this altar of her. So a space in your home that you go walk by and talk to her. So I'm seeing, all these things with Olivia. Oh, so again, the stomach. So I'm assuming either sickness or something with something with her stomach that also affected her. And I feel like this happens quickly for her. Like she's talking about something being rapid. And if she was okay, then all of a sudden something came on. So it was really hard. Hands were tied that people couldn't get to her or couldn't help her as quickly as possible, or there's nothing else they could do. She is also there with an older female. This would mean a grandma for her or grandma for yourself. Someone that is definitely a strong woman, someone that definitely had opinions. She is bringing up a railroad, and this would be, I think, the grandmother figure. So if there's someone either connected to a railroad or there's a Robert or James connection, that's sometimes a signal for me. And I'm also getting like a calico or a cat with multiple colors. And Olivia is saying there's something about not being able to hear. So if you feel like you're not hearing her, or music is an important thing, or that you felt like, did she hear you? She's saying yes. So something about the hearing. Please let us know if any of that is valid information for you.
So back to the first one you did, she was in the line of fire.
Okay.
18-year-old. So she was just confirming that, and there were no charges as of right now.
So this is pretty recent.
I'm not. She didn't say how long ago it was, but
Okay.
Two boys fighting over her.
Oh, geez. Okay, so all right.
Is in shock about the DA dropping all charges, even with the boys admitted to firing the shots. So
yeah, yeah. Well, also,
it happened in April. So yeah,
it's no wonder, because I was in the kitchen kind of getting my tea. I'm like, oh, someone was murdered here that came through. I'm glad I didn't forget. And this is a very spunky girl, and I just feel like she wants everyone to know she's okay. So this is when someone is like haunting me. I'm going to use that word. It's not that they're haunting me, but just that they're in my presence and my radar. Is the family is worried? Like, was she? And I'm kind of want to like, was she in pain? Who greeted her on the other side? And I feel like there's been more than one celebration. And also, they're showing me that someone wants to do something in memory of her. So whether this is a scholarship or posting something or a bench or a tree, whatever people want to do right now. And she's also, I'm feeling like she might be cremated because she feels like she's been separated. So if that means people have different parts of her ashes, or they're trying to figure out what to do with her stuff. And since we're trying to do this quickly, she's talking about all the stuff being celebrated and something about Alaska. I have no idea.
So the other one you did, I think this was on the 6-year-old, right?
Okay, yeah. Olivia?
Hit by a drunk driver, died on impact.
Okay, the stomach.
She had bright, beautiful blue eyes. She's great Aunt Mary is who she was with. So, yeah.
Is Aunt Mary alive with her when she died, or is Aunt Mary the one that's crossed over?
Aunt Mary's the one that's crossed over.
Okay, because the stomach and not be able to get to her. So we have two people right now, two young women that were killed by somebody. And I'm getting with the drunk driver. I'm wondering if these two girls are coming through together, because the drunk driver feels like either, again, not being charged, or maybe the charges are not as according to what he did or she did.
Gotcha. And the other one, the first one, I have a garden in her name, and she's in everyone's necklaces. So there are her ashes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the jewelry. Then that's the jewelry. I'm getting chills. Wow. I'm so sorry for these kids that have lost. And we have done a YouTube show, which probably should start again. And it's a YouTube show on helping parents heal when it comes to the loss of children, because to me, we are not designed as humans. And that's how do we surrender and trust a process like, and this is what I'm getting that's really important. Was it their time? Did it happen for a reason? Absolutely not. These tragic deaths are tragic, but then what do we do to make changes? Do we change the laws for guns? Do we change the laws for drunk driving? What do we do as a society to keep people safe? So we don't get involved until it affects us and it gets close to home. And that's to allow ourselves to do something different to change the world.
Yeah, let's do an intuitive reading real quick.
Sure.
Steve is on YouTube, it looks like. His wife has been ill for a few weeks, has not seen a doctor yet, so I think he's worried about her. Maybe.
Okay. I'm not a medical intuitive. Dana's actually really good at this than me. Can he type in her age or anything just to kind of give me more to tune in?
But let's ask him to do that, and I'll come back to him. But Alicia said that the drunk driver died at the scene of their crash.
Okay.
And she had severe stomach trauma, was internally bleeding, and had emergency surgery. So
for the quick one, okay, that makes sense for Olivia. Like they couldn't do, because it kept happening quickly, and I thought, what's this whole stomach? And I saw medical community in there too. So poor little thing.
So Steve's wife is 73. What is her first name? Did I give you her name?
No.
Jackie. Yeah, Jackie is her first
name. I can't give me stomach for her too, for Jackie. And I'm sensing, yeah, I keep getting like, I don't know if this is thyroid, so it's not hormonal, but I keep getting like food or diet or how her body's processing something. And I'm also seeing some heart palpitations. And so this doesn't mean that she's having a heart attack. It just feels like this is affecting her heart. So it's probably affecting her sleep. So slow recovery. And I'm getting a little bit of headaches with this. Why isn't she going to the doctor? uh,
Yeah.
I'm really getting here. She's sort of like, I'm okay. I'm okay. It's just a phase. I'm not feeling great, but I'm not feeling good. So I agree with you, Steve. Is get the appointment, make her go in. Usually it's the man that doesn't go in versus the woman, but I kind of get it's a simple solution. But I'm also feeling she's got to do some things to kind of get, like I'm getting blood work. I'm getting like get to the source. Are you getting anything, Dana?
I'm too busy reading messages,
Um,
but
and I feel like there's this feeling of lack of thriving. And to me, this is sort of her body's not recovering. So if she's not eating what she's supposed to be eating and not getting sleep, her body is then kind of spiraling into a place of not recovery. So, and I'm getting my heart or lungs, and I don't feel like it's COVID, but I definitely feel like it's all affecting the heart and lungs. So tell Jackie to get in there.
I was getting lower lungs for some reason.
Yeah.
Not,
So
not up high, but down lower. Yeah.
yeah, and I'm not feeling that it's COVID. So, because usually I cough with COVID for
Okay.
sure. Well, thanks everybody for joining us. This was great. If you came on right in the beginning, I was a little bit trying to find my words, but I think we really were on here today for Skylar and Olivia to bring our love to them. And I think they're over there having a high five because both of their readings were coming through with some similarities. And we want to just send a lot of love to their families as they continue to heal the losses of these beautiful young girls. Okay. So thank you. Namaste.